Hey, what's up, guys? Kane here with XBLA fans, and I'm going to be giving you a quick taste of Oh Sir, the Hollywood Roast from Vile Monarch. This game is actually just really fun in a really strange way. So it's kind of a successor to the original Oh Sir, the Insult Simulator. Instead of this time, they're going in and they're kind of adding in characters from Hollywood movies and some faces that you should recognize. Obviously, they're a little bit of a knockoff in certain ways, just to, you know, kind of be parody or whatnot. The mechanics on this game are a lot deeper than they look when you're first watching it. And I'm going to do 2 playthroughs here, or 2 levels basically, and I'm going to get a chance to show you that. There's some cool stuff here. You can play with friends, both locally and online. You can also play a career mode. The career mode also, you know, has different quests that you need to kind of accomplish each time you face someone. So there'll be different things, like maybe you need to win the roast, get a 2x combo, use at least 3 comebacks, or maybe you need to score something worth more than 25 points. And the way the game works is it basically lets you pick your insults, but you have to follow basic grammar. So, you know, you can't just sit there and attach random nonsense, because if you do that, the game's going to just smack you in the head, take away a little bit of health, and you lose your turn. And that's pretty cool. Honestly, it does a really good job of adding in some decent strategy because of the way that you can kind of do various things. So, like, if you noticed, Marilyn over there used Your Beverly Hills Mansion and Your On-Screen Romance. So instead of allowing me to get, quote-unquote, you know, like a super high point combo by allowing me to use noun, verb, noun, and, she took the and away from me. And that's kind of what you want to do, especially when you're playing with people. So there's some really cool backdrops. There's some really cool, crazy Hollywood characters. Like each time they attack, they do some kind of weird moves, you know. The comebacks are pretty cool. Those are actually kind of develop the more you play, because you start to unlock you know, different comebacks, so you'll start to see new things, like the gray wizard or whatever, the crusty wizard, whichever one's supposed to be Gandalf. Like every time he attacks someone, he basically flashes them, and the game just gets kind of bonkers in that regard. There's just some crazy nuts stuff going on. One of the things I've really liked is that some of these insults are just absolutely fantastic. Like, there's one that's Jonah Hill's undercarriage, and every time I see that, I always start laughing, because there's just so many good ways to combine them. Every once in a while, the computer will throw one at you, and you just sit there and you're like, that really isn't that much of an insult. But one of the cool things about it is each character kind of has their own weakness. So, you know, with Marilyn over here, I'm trying to hit her for making her feel old. So her thing is age and beauty. So the more you hit her with that, the more points you're going to get. And if you can combo that, and you can use something where you continue to use the same pain point. So like I used Your Sister last time. By using Your Sister again, it's going to get a ×2 and be even more powerful. And that's one of the like cool things about the depth to this game. One of the ones that made me laugh the absolute hardest, though, was I got insulted and they said your adopted kids were eulogized by the Undertaker. And I was just like, I don't know what world we're in here, but that sounds like the coolest compliment ever. Because my first thought process was that the Undertaker, you know, wrestling, I don't even follow wrestling, and I was just like, man, that would be pretty tight. Like, I don't get why that's an insult. But every once in a while, you'll get some weird ones like that. But there's so many different you know, words and phrases that pop up that you get a lot of things that'll kind of change up. And this is, I think, the highest point combo I've actually ever thrown down, which is kind of cool that we got this while recording. So we got to throw down 55 points, which is basically enough to take her out almost on its own. And that just kind of shows you what you really want to be aiming for here, because the more of those, you know, combos you can pull off, and the more pain points you can hit her at, the better. And if by some fluke Your Sister popped up again, I would have a chance to go crazy here. Definitely something you kind of gotta pay attention to, especially if you're playing with friends, because they're pretty likely to, you know, try to do this to you. This game is actually a pretty decent, you know, kind of just party game, because you can just kind of put it on in the background and just kind of chill and throw insults at each other. And you get some pretty good ones. Like, an imaginary friend made of lunch meat is just, it's solid. You know, like, there's a lot of things that go on here. And I like the fact that there's a bunch of different characters. Each of the characters has their own little pain points. Each of the characters has their own custom phrases, like a fistful of every flavor beans. There's just some really cool things that you can kind of throw down on people, and I definitely like that. And if you're not paying attention and you put down something that just doesn't make any sense, the game is not going to give you credit for that. And just to prove that, I've got an example here. We already knew we were going to win this, so why not show it off? So when you get that ×0, you just end up with a phrase that no longer makes any sense. And you can definitely kind of, you know, block your friends a little bit here. Because if you see them trying to get, you know, one of these really long phrases, if you can, you know, knock out all the nouns, you can kind of make it a little rough at times. Obviously, you have your own two, you know, kind of things to pull from. Kind of like, you know, almost Texas Hold'em in a sense. You know, that middle is, you know, community, whereas you have your own little, like, whole phrases. But you can swap those out as well and kind of, you know, get new ones. So, like, you never really know exactly what the other person has. So they may be sitting there with two, you know, verbs, two nouns. Maybe they have both conjunctions somehow, which could be absolutely bonkers. So you have a lot of choices to choose from. A lot of times you'll end up with your, you know, kind of specialty phrases in there, like, you know, a filthy mudblood. So, you know, that's one of those phrases that I get extra points for using a little bit. Like, Harry Potter, he's super weak whenever you attack him on, like, masculinity. So that's one of the points that you can just kind of roast him at. And it's kind of neat because, you know, even when you take people out, they all kind of, you know, die in a different way. So there's a lot of cool things they've done. The golden parrot system that they've done is actually really cool, because it kind of encourages you to, you know, play through again with someone else and gives you, you know, an incentive to try to kind of, you know, do the best you can. The achievements in this game are not too hard. It is $4.99. It is out on Xbox One, and honestly, it is pretty solid. So we defeated Maryland. Wasn't too bad, you know. That's about average in length. I would say your average game in this is going to be around 4 to 10 minutes, just depending on, you know, how many combos you just get lucky enough to hit. And, you know, that's really what it comes down to. This one right here is another really good example, ironically enough. I recorded these back to back, and I was just going to use whatever I got. But this one turned it out so good that I didn't want to, you know, cut it, because this is going to end up being a perfect example of showing what happens when you tie someone. So you end up in like a cliffhanger mode, and you get some really interesting gameplay out of this. I'm also going to show you what a level 3 comeback looks like, because that's another one of the mechanics that's in this game, is you can use the comeback, and it lets you charge your anger, and you get to finish your sentences with just these unique phrases. And as you play as a character, you unlock more unique phrases that you can use, and you end up with some pretty cool stuff.
Lost a wizard duel to an old Indian burial ground.
And I like the fact that as you're playing, it's going to continue to show you, you know, exactly how much each phrase was worth, exactly when a multiplier hits, exactly when all that goes. So you're able to sit there and you can kind of notice why you're, you know, taking more damage, or, you know, not doing as much as you hope to. Sorry about that. It's coffee time for me, man. 1 o'clock on a Monday, man. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I really do appreciate it. We've got a lot of ID at Xbox games and a lot of other indie games that we're going to be doing quick tastes for. I've honestly really enjoyed this game. It is pretty solid. If you are looking at the gameplay and you have any questions about it, feel free to ask in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. This is definitely a game that what you see is what you get. There is a lot of depth to it, and that's something that is a little hard to see at first. But, you know, like even here, I think I used the, ellipsis to allow me to basically continue my thought, and I can go and start again at the next set of phrases. And that allows me, especially if you get into trouble, if that happens to be on the board, you're able to kind of save yourself a little bit so you don't get that moment where you just can't do anything. And like every once in a while I'll sit here and I'll think, man, I got such a good, insult. Why is it not worth that many points? But I like this one. I thought it was solid. Like, your character is haunted by your dog and got beauty secrets from a 3-headed dog's droppings. Like, the double combination of dog to me just, like, that's perfect. Like, I don't know. I like that, but it's not going to hit as hard as you'd hope it would. But at the end of the day, this is just a really fun game. The way they've kind of done, the various backdrops, the various characters to give a good bit of personality to the game. The insults are really, really solid. And like even the devs say, plays one of our many famous, but for legal purposes, slightly different pulp culture icons and verbally spar with other Hollywood elites using a deep battle system. Just kind of gives you a feel for the level of seriousness that they take on some of this. You've got a pretty star-studded cast. You've got some really interesting characters. And honestly, I played one match online. It was pretty fun. This is definitely a game I could see myself playing with people locally, especially. But even if you don't have people locally, the campaign is actually pretty fun. Just for a good time-wasting game. It's one of those games that you can put on and kind of not have to pay a ton of attention to. And you can just, have some fun, get some laughs, and just, it's real solid for that. The cast of characters is really cool. I don't want to ruin it too much, so I'm going to kind of leave it there. But you've got some video game characters, you've got some, actors, some pop culture geek characters, a bunch of other things that are just really solid, and the game does a good job of kind of giving each of them a little bit of personality and some unique lines. You're gonna get to experience a lot of different things here, and it's really just a pretty unique game. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit just because I want you guys to be able to see the cliffhanger mechanic, and I don't want to make you guys kind of watch me and Nosferatu verbally spar for the next like 6 minutes. And we're back, and as you can tell, both of us are at a sliver of health. Both of us are gonna die here. This is not that uncommon to see, and this is gonna bring us into that cliffhanger moment, and you'll get to see what happens with gameplay when this event does happen. Obviously, I've also stacked my level 3 comeback. Realistically, now that I've done a cliffhanger moment, I would not have ever used that comeback to basically, pound him into submission here. Because what we're really going to do is we're just going to kill him. He's not going to take extra damage. And we're going to be put into this cliffhanger mode where each of us basically has to throw out our best insult in, that one turn. So if I'd saved my comebacker, I think I would have had a very good chance to just instantly defeat him by throwing that at the end, because that level 3 comebacker should have been worth a good bit. One thing I really do like that I don't think I had a chance to mention earlier is that each character has their own kind of like companion, and that companion will come out when you do your comebacker attacks, and that's kind of neat. It's just a really kind of funny mechanic because it allows them to just add a little bit more character to the game when you suddenly have Dobie come out and also have a wand, And like I said, like my comebacker at level 3 stacked was 18 points, which just kind of shows you that if you save that to the end, you've got a really good chance to win here. But now that we're down to this comebacker, we got to be really smart. We got one turn basically, and we got to make sure that we have the hardest hitting insult here. And I think we're going to be able to pull it off. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I really do appreciate it. This is Kane with XBLA Fans. We got a ton of new content, and we're going to be continuing to pump out as much as humanly possible for you guys. We want you guys to be able to get a chance to check out some of these ID at Xbox games and other indie games, just so you can, you know, get a good view of them before you decide to purchase them. That way you have an opportunity to kind of, you know, see if it's for you. And this is just a really fun game. If you like this sort of thing, I think you'll have fun with it. If you look at it and you can tell immediately this isn't for you, I would just move along. But at $4.99, it's not really one of those like high price games that's going to be, you know, scaring you off there. So you have a decent chance to just kind of, you know, give it a flyer. I think you'll like it. Thank you guys so much. Please do like, share, subscribe, do all that nonsense. I know I just said nonsense, but you have literally no idea how much that helps us. When it comes down to it, we want to continue to make this type of content, but it's really not possible without people viewing it, and you guys make it so much more possible for people to find out about what we're doing. So it's a massive help. Thank you guys so much, and later.